adventures you have.
I know you guys want to know what it's like to travel with Maureen for 4 days, right?
Dream come true.
I have not stopped laughing since we left New York.
Laughing, that's one word for it. You're very generous. I'm going to kill her. All right, questions now. I feel good though. I gotta say, if you're gonna do a public appearance, do it in a room.
Tara.
I'm curious, Maureen, what it was like going back to the world of searching the blue envelope after having done so much other stuff in between.
Sweet. It was really fun to go back. I wanted to go back for a long time. Every once in a while, I'm wearing a robe, but it's really lovely. I'm not going to pay attention to the fact that I'm wearing a robe. It was really fun. Sequels are fun because you get to go back and revisit. And I've gotten a lot of letters from people who've read the book 5 years ago, and they were like, you know, I read the book when I was 12 or when I was 13, and I'm going to college now, and I was getting a lot of different perspectives. And so the book begins with Ginny applying for colleges, and I think it kind of moves on a little bit. You know, it all takes place only 3 months later. I feel like I moved on, Ginny moved on, and there was a lot, you know, there was a kind of big gulf to cover. So it felt very similar, but I felt like I was coming at it from a very different angle. So I was very happy to be back, though. It's a fun place to be, and a really good excuse for saying, like, I really have to go to Belgium. So that's the answer. Do I seem like I have more authority in this room? No. Okay. First draft.
Well, the first novel I wrote took me 8 months to write the first draft. And now, usually it takes me about 3 to 4 months to write the first draft. I do it full time, so that makes it a little bit easier. And harder, because when I had a full-time job and I wrote at nights and on weekends, and that was time I had to write. Now that I have, you know, all day, you know, very leisurely, and I could just watch television for a bit, or do this for a bit, so I have to work on myself.
When you're a writer, you can wear what you want.
Yeah, like a robe.
This makes me feel at home. This is how I work. See, I have to work in a robe. It sort of takes as long as you know. I think sometimes it takes, you know, 3 months or 6 months, or but then of course you end up doing it again and again and again. And I'm doing more complicated outlines now, so I'm devoting a lot of time to the outline and the research phase. So it varies, but yeah, I think maybe 3 months to 10 years seems to be the going rate for first draft. Just one of that.
If there's that big a gap, like if it could be 3 months or it could be 10 years, how do you deal with deadlines? Like, what percentage of the time are you working with that in mind, and how much of the time are you like, screw the deadline?
No, it's always just a deadline.
Yeah, no, when I write, I usually have a deadline, and sometimes I'm late for the deadline, but I hope not to be too late. Right now I have a deadline on Wednesday, and I really hope I'm not going to be late for that deadline, but it looks likely. I mean, you have to, because that's when you get paid, and that's how you feed the family, so I kind of hope that I do them.
And a lot of people are depending on you, so if you don't turn the deadline in, that's a lot of other people who have scheduled their time to, like, they were expecting it, and they're expecting to read it, and if you flub it, then that's their week messed up, or that's their, and then, you know. So a lot of times I try to send up a warning flyer, you know, if it's a month away, and I'm like, you know, it may not be the 5th, it might be the 8th, is that okay? And then it's usually, you know, fine. I try to meet them because it really messes up other people's lives and schedules. And then they get upset and they come hunting for you. Is there another one? Yes.
What's been the hardest thing for you to write?
Book-wise, you mean, or the part of the novel?
Part of the novel. Getting to the end.
I find kissing scenes hard, actually. I find romance scenes very hard, and do you guys know Lockhart? Yeah. So she edits all my stuff. We became good friends when we wrote How to Be Bad Together. I wrote with Lauren Miracle, who I'm sure you guys know. And Lockhart, and I send them my books to edit. And Emily always ends up rewriting my kissing scenes and like adding in lots more fun dialogue and stuff. It was funny because in How to Be Bad, she rewrote a whole section of mine, and then one reviewer said, "This was Sarah Mlynowski wrote the best flirting scene ever," and Emily totally wrote that. Thank you. It's very good. You should all read Disreputable History.
Oh, absolutely.
Both Lauren and Emily are amazing, and you should definitely read their books if you haven't.
Shine.
Shine is amazing,
Liz,
and all
and
Boyfriend List, that whole series are they're
and
fantastic.
Toys Go Out. We just all their. But Disreputable History is just genius. One of my favorites ever. I forgot the question.
What's hard for you, Greg?
Oh, what's hard to write? Sometimes it's really hard to just get somebody across the room. Honestly, like the business of getting them around, like getting stuff off tables or opening doors. He opened the door, across the room. He came back across the room. He opened the door again. He shut the door. Like suddenly you start to feel like you're going insane because you're like, my carriage is endlessly crossing the room. Yeah, I was talking to Scott Westerfield about this one day. We were sitting at work, and I'm like, it's just so hard to get them to cross the room. He's like, I know, you wish they would, like, you wouldn't have to be, they'd just be there. And everyone would just know they were across the room. It's the simple little actions can be really bad things, because then you get very repetitive.
Yeah. For me, it's also just first drafts in general. Like, staring at a blank page in my computer is very daunting. So I hate first drafts, but once I have words on the page, even if they're really, really crappy words, at least I can just edit them, remove them, and it makes me feel better.
I just want to say that I want to do all my signs from now on. Because it's really relaxing. Like it instantly sort of.
We do like a glass of wine, a cigar.
Yeah, it really makes you feel. It really makes you feel relaxed. I don't know how it is for you guys, but for me, it's awesome. It's best that you don't tell me how it is. Is there another question?
So how did you guys get to know each other and like all your other awesome YA friends? Because I find it's really hard to get a group around me when I'm writing, because you're writing and have your friends around you.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, YA is a really tight community. A lot of us know each other. A lot of us are friends, and we actually travel together, we write together, we do events together. We literally meet up every day of the week sometimes and write, or just are at each other's houses and can call each other up at 2 or 3 in the morning and say, help me, my book is broken and I'm and someone helps you at 3 in the morning. I guess we got to know each other. A lot of people live in New York. A lot of events. There's like kind of book events where we would all just sort of meet up. And I don't know, like I remember one day, it was like 5 years ago, I just called Lockhart up and I was like, you want to go to lunch? She's like, okay. And yeah, it just seemed like a lot of us asking each other out to lunch, and then all of a sudden it's like, sort of spending our time together. And it's nice because there's a lot of support and.
Yeah, there's a lot of conferences. I think that's how we meet each other. I met David Levitan at a book expo conference, and we were at the same table together. We started talking, and we said there really should be more. But it was about 7 years ago, I think. We said there's really no YA community. It would be great to meet other writers. I came from Canada, and for me there was this idea that I would get to New York and suddenly there were just all these writers like walking around and hanging out, and it really wasn't. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know how to meet anyone. And I wrote one author who I'm not going to mention, and she was like, no, there's nothing here. And I said, well, that's stupid. We should have stuff. And I ran into David Levitan, and I told him I can play to him, and he's like, well, I'll organize something. And he sent out an email to all the writers he knew in New York, and then we all went out for drinks. And that became a monthly thing. And then that grew into, he started organizing readings, free readings in New York at the New York Public Library once a month, so we met people there too. And then him and Rachel Cohen organized a teen author festival. So once you know people, then you want to spend more time and do more things. So I think it's really about reaching out, and if you have other writers in the area, email them, say, do you want to write together? And I think that's how it happens. I used to write with Maureen, we just all got together at a coffee shop. We would just go.
It keeps you from going crazy.
Yes. Because otherwise I talk to the television.
Yeah, things happen. Weird things happen.
Yeah.
Hard to imagine. Fair enough. Is there alright.
Sorry.
Were you scratching your jaw?
I had a little
I couldn't
twitch.
tell.
I had a little twitch.
So is there another?
We have time for lots of questions.
Yeah, like there's no, I have to ask really hard. I'm probably going to put it on there.
It's really hot, it is back up.
No, I haven't. I have an MFA in, well, I have most of an MFA in dramaturgy and I have an MFA in writing. And dramaturgy is a really thankless profession, and I worked on a lot of super crazy shows. I worked on exactly 3 shows that have caught fire. during quarantine. One time I put out a fire during a pool run. Like literally, like, you know, people are like, oh, I go around putting out fires. I was like, no, I literally go around putting out fires. You know, I once found a lost actress who like sort of wandered away. I found our lost orchestra trying to break into the theater during the second act. Like at a certain point, I was like, enough. You know, like I was always writing, and I was writing with every spare second. I was writing in wings. You know, I was trying to do two things at once, and after a while, the craziness of and it took so much time, and really I was spending all my time writing anyways, and then I'm mostly writing now. I haven't done a show in like 8 years or something, or 9 years or something like that. But it's something I really like.
Your outline process changed? Can you tell me what it was?
Online presence? Oh, outline process, sorry. I used to not outline. It sounds like you've always been one.
Actually, well,
I never outlined, and when I wrote a book called The Name of the Star, which is going to be out in September, which is about Jack the Ripper going to start again in London, and this girl who ends up in the middle of it, and then the story sort of takes off from there. And I had the idea, and I was sort of on fire with this idea, and I knew I kind of had to get it right, because it's a mystery, and it's very complicated, and there's a lot of historical research, and then the story expands over the trilogy. And so I was like, I need to sort of hammer this all out, and so I wrote a very, very long, like a mini book. It was like 25,000 words, and it had appendices and histories, and it was this very long document. And I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever done, because every time I've ever written a book, I've chopped off the ending, usually 5 to 10 times. I usually rewrite endings, or I don't know how the middle goes. And now I have an outline. I'm like, now I actually know what happened. Do people know about this? So,
did the first draft take less time because you had the outline?
Oh yes. Well, because the outline was so intense, and it was so much like a book that I just kept kind of growing it until it was a full size. It was like I was inflating it. So it's been really helpful.
My first book, I didn't use an outline. I just kind of looked around. It was an adult book, and I just basically had bad dates, and then went home and wrote about them. And that was my first novel. And then after that, my second one, I had a mini outline, maybe like a page. And then I just kept going and going, and my mom reads my manuscript, and she got to the end, and she said it was already 110,000 words, and she's like, there it ends. It was about 3 roommates who live on their own. She's like, they have to leave now. This is where the book ends. Stop. I was like, okay, fine. So I had a mini outline, but then by my third book, I said, this would be a lot easier if I outlined, and I started to, and I can't imagine not outlining now. Sometimes when I'm trying to get the voice and figure out what I want the outline to be, I write 3 chapters just without an outline. I know kind of what I want the book to be, and then once I have those, then I write, once I have a bit of the voice, then I write the outline, and then I go back and write the rest of the book. But often at this point, your first novel, you have to write a full novel and sell it. But usually for your second and on, you have to write a few chapters and an outline in order to sell it. So now I'm kind of forced to do an outline because that's how I sell the book. Yes.
Would you say your writing styles have changed a lot since your first novel to this most recent one?
Yes and no. I think the voice is the same. I mean, hopefully I've gotten better at it. I hope. I don't know. I'd have to ask readers that. But I think that I think it has stayed a lot the same. Now I guess I know different ways to do it. I've learned some tricks, some things that work, because you try something new and then it works. When you're creating a scene, and then you kind of do things differently. This actually was the first book that I wrote in past tense. I have 13 books, and 12 of them are in present tense. And I was kind of, let's try something a little bit different. Because you don't want to do the same thing over and over again. I try to challenge myself with every book. So I was like, I'm going to try something totally different, which is past tense. Which I don't know if for any of your writers, but the switch from present to past is like a big deal. Do you write?
I've never written in present.
Never. Yeah, I can't. Present comes so naturally to me. I'm writing a chapter book series now, and when I sold it, it was all in past tense. And I just found it wasn't as funny. For this voice, I needed to switch it. I just switched it to present tense, and the writing just came a lot easier to me. And this book, actually, 10 Things took me a long time to write. I don't know if it was because I had a baby like right before it was due, and just having a newborn and writing a book are not things to do with